Dear admissions team, my name is Errol Süßler and this is a video submission as part of my application for the Global Executive MBA. In this video, I will provide my answer to your question, how do you envision the city of the future? Before diving into the presentation, I'll give you a short outline of the main topics discussed in this video, followed by an outlook on expected global urbanization. Subsequently, I will provide an example of how a future city might look like by revisiting each key topic and providing potential solutions respectively. Don't jump to conclusions yet. This future city may look very different to what you would imagine. The topics discussed in this video are economic and social institutions, citizens, technology, utilities, buildings, infrastructure, healthcare, and mobility. You may have heard this before, but according to the United Nations, 66% of the world's population are expected to live in urban areas by 2050, which translates into 2.5 billion additional urban dwellers. Let's put this number into perspective. Should the number be accurate, it would be close to 8 times the population size of the United States. It's hard to imagine that the world could sustain another 8 United States or house those 2.5 billion people in cities which resemble New York. I've heard the theories about building gigantic skyscrapers with hundreds of floors, and such pipe dream cities usually look like this background here. There is just one problem: affordability. It is far from certain that these additional 2.5 billion people will have the financial means to rent or buy an apartment in futuristic skyscrapers. So, how could the city of the future look like? It is more likely that the city of the future is no city at all, but an off-the-grid, self-sufficient eco-village. Life will be much simpler, and we will break away from the concept of perpetual economic growth. My assumption is based on the fact that greenhouse gases will have to be cut to zero by 2040 if the world wants to cap global warming to 2 degrees Celsius, as pledged by all major economies in 2015. I doubt that we will be able to substitute fossil fuel needs with renewables to the extent necessary to sustain our modern lifestyle by 2040. Please keep in mind that 2/3 of our current greenhouse gas emissions come from agriculture, transportation, and human activities. This is what my future city will tackle. I predict that participating communities will usher in a paradigm shift in economic, social, and institutional thinking. The city of the future will be a hub for sustainable capitalism and local production and consumption. Knowledge-based work will enable citizens to work from home, reducing traffic congestion and improving the quality of life. Decentralization of political decision-making will give rise to citizens who will play a much more active role in providing local administrative services. Citizens 2.0 will live sustainable values and make decisions to foster community cohesion and not only profit maximization. I imagine that technology will be the enabler of sustainable capitalism, while advances in robotics and artificial intelligence will enable humans to become more productive and thus command higher wages. Abundant sensors and big data analytics will enable the Internet of Things, and off-grid internet access will allow remote cities to link into global commerce. Enabled by technology, utilities will be reinvented. Future cities will recycle their own waste, generate their own energy, use solar thermal seawater desalination, and connect home battery systems to the main power grid. The last 2 technologies are so important to future cities that we should discuss them in greater detail. Declining groundwater levels and diminished arable land are already creating misery and hardship for citizens, as evidenced by the 2016 drought in India, for example. Future cities will tackle this issue by performing solar thermal water desalination, as seawater is available in abundance. This technology will enable crops to be grown locally, which is particularly important since a substantial amount of predicted urbanization is expected to occur in Africa. Another utility game changer will be solar-powered residential batteries that link directly into the city's main power grid. This will enable citizens to feed surplus electricity back into the main grid and thus earn income by doing so. Buildings themselves will be 3D printed and energy efficient, making use of natural ventilation and passive heating. Infrastructure will become smart too. Sensors embedded in the infrastructure will provide real-time feedback to enable early warning systems in case of looming natural disasters. Human life expectancy is assumed to increase substantially, and communal healthcare centers will play a vital role in ensuring that people remain both physically and mentally active during their lifetime. Emphasis will be placed on disease prevention, and healthy lifestyle choices may be rewarded by new health insurance business models, while robots will assist in hospitals and elderly homes. Mobility will remain important, but private cars will become a rarity. Bikes and car-sharing models will provide everyday mobility, and megacities will be connected by tubes providing high-speed transportation of passengers and goods. In summary, these are my main predictions. Sustainable capitalism and open-source democracy will provide the framework that citizens abide by. Technological advances in photovoltaic and seawater desalination will enable crops to be grown locally. Abundant sensors and big data analytics will enable the Internet of Things, connecting citizens, machines, and infrastructure. Buildings will be 3D printed, and infrastructure will assist in preventing human casualties during natural disasters. Communal healthcare centers and elderly homes will be equipped with robots, and the good old bike will be the preferred means of transportation. I look forward to being a citizen of this future city, and who knows, maybe you will be my neighbor. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. All the best.